Hello, everybody. Some very interesting news happening this week. Could not be saved for the show, and this is a very interesting, also a sad story. It involves wrestling legend Verne Gagne, and I'm going to read this to you. This is from the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 newsletter website. Verne Gagne, one of the most influential pro wrestlers in history, is alleged to have thrown down 97-year-old Helmut Gutman on January the 26th, breaking his hip, and Gutman later passed away over the weekend. Both at the time were residing in a facility in Bloomington, Minnesota, which treats patients with Alzheimer's and dementia. Gagne, a week shy of his 83rd birthday, is believed to have thrown Gutman down hard on the ground, and nobody knows exactly what caused the incident at the memory loss unit. Gutman was at first hospitalized, then released, but his condition deteriorated and he died in hospice care, according to an article in the Minnesota Post. Gagne is no longer a resident at the facility. The newspaper reported Gagne had been kicked out of the facility due to an incident previously and at the time was allowed to return. It's a tragic story because Gagne would have absolutely no idea of what he had done. Gutman's wife, Betty, said she was notified about what happened in the January 26th incident and found her husband lying on the floor in tremendous pain. She said, quote, "You can't blame the person that did it. Verne Gagne doesn't know what he's doing. I feel so sorry for his family because they are faced with a terrible problem of what to do," unquote. The story quoted someone only identified as one of Gagne's daughters, who described it as a personal family matter and that nobody is saying that is the reason the man ended up dying. Gagne was one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling history, a two-time NCAA champion who turned down an NFL offer to become a pro wrestler, was United States champion for Fred Colher's Chicago-based promotion, which had national television in the early 50s, making him one of the highest-paid athletes in the country during that period. He later purchased controlling interest in the Minneapolis Boxing and Wrestling Club from Tony Stetcher, withdrew the promotion from the National Wrestling Alliance, and when he was bypassed in the selection of the World Heavyweight Champion, and created the American Wrestling Association, where he was both promoter and usually top babyface for much of the period from 1960 until his retirement as a full-time wrestler in 1981. The AWA expanded from Minneapolis throughout the Midwest, and because it was a successful area that paid well but had a limited schedule, many considered it the promotion where wrestlers had the highest quality of life. The promotion was successful until 1985, when its dated presentation was exposed by Vince McMahon's World Wrestling Federation and Jim Crockett Promotions. The promotion quickly lost its popularity and limped to its death a few years later. After negotiating a deal to sell his tape collection to McMahon, Gagne was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He had been suffering for years with Alzheimer's. Now, a fan of the show, of my show, sent in a link with the video footage of this story, and this is a sad story. It really is, because I'll tell you from personal experience, my great aunt has Alzheimer's, and she remembers some things, but can't remember a lot of things. And of course, Verne, was a very, very good wrestler, and nobody knows what happened, how it got started. Found a little bit of detail about the gentleman Helmut Gutman. He was a doctor in the Minneapolis area for about 40 years as a cancer researcher, and he was a part of World War II, escaping Nazi Germany during that time. So, both men in the Minneapolis area are successful at what they did. It's just unfortunate, number one, that Mr. Gutman had to die, or he passed away. But we can't take away the fact that, Verne Gagne was in an altercation and he didn't know what he was doing. You can't say, well, it's Verne Gagne's fault that this guy died. It's Verne Gagne's fault that this guy broke a leg, or, 83 and 97 years old. That's an old age. I mean, my grandmother, as most of you know from this show, or from my show, lived to be 95. This guy lived to be 97 years old. That is a wonderful life. And Verne just turned 83, I believe it was. And, you can't point the finger at anybody. From what I've heard, there will probably be no charges filed against Verne. But once again, this is a sad tale and a sad story, and really, where were the people that are working in this facility? Where were they? You can't, like I said, you can't really blame Verne for this, but this is a tragic tale, and hopefully, this doesn't lead to worse stuff for Verne Gagne. But my thoughts and respects go to Mr. Gutman and his family at this time, and hopefully we can be clear of this story real soon as possible.